Well, this morning we saw our merchandise trade deficit reach a record level in the second quarter. Economists already saying that is in part due to the tariff reality. Now, the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, and U.S. President Donald Trump are expected to talk over the next number of days, according to an official who spoke with Bloomberg. Over the weekend, we saw the minister in charge of U.S. trade, Dominic LeBlanc, say he thinks there is an option of striking a deal that will bring down some tariffs, provide greater certainty to investment. But in the interim, we're navigating the post-August 1st reality. The Trump administration Friday raising the tariff rate on some Canadian imports to 35% from 25% imposed in early March, while maintaining an exemption for goods traded under the rules of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. Let's get some insight and analysis on where things go from here. John Boscariol is leader of the International Trade and Investment Law Group at McCarthy-Tétrault. So, John, I guess, August 1st has come and gone. Where do things stand based on your estimate and these latest comments from Dominic LeBlanc, who was on U.S. TV over the weekend, sort of talking about his optimism, if you will?
Hi, John. Great to be with you today. For most Canadian exporters, and I'd say this is for the volume of exports, probably 80% or more right now, it is kind of status quo. So as you've been reporting, goods that qualify for CUSMA treatment, in other words, originate under the CUSMA agreement, are still going into the United States duty-free. And so for those exporters, it is still more of the same. The uncertainty hasn't been addressed, obviously, but they can continue to access the U.S. market. Now, for our exporters in the steel, aluminum, and auto sector, and now copper, they continue to face Section 232 national security tariffs, sectoral tariffs. So they are continuing to be hurt by those tariffs. So I think what we are anticipating, hopefully, is as this agreement is being negotiated, that we're going to see some kind of deal, some kind of resolution over those sectoral tariffs going forward. And that's really how we will judge whether this is a good deal or not.
And so, what do you think ultimately the industries that are most impacted by this? I'm sure them are trying to figure out the sort of the legal realities of all this as well. What should they be planning for, if you will?
Well, I think for the vast majority of Canadian exporters, they should be looking to ensure that their product qualifies as originating under the CUSMA. And that sometimes is not an easy task. If your production process here in Canada is really relatively simple, in other words, maybe you're pulling agricultural products out of the ground, natural resources, that's not a huge task. But if you are manufacturing machinery, equipment, more complex products, maybe food and beverage products where you are sourcing inputs from other countries, you're going to have to spend time and resources working through those rules of origin to ensure that your product originates and can access the market duty-free. So for those exporters, they have a bit of a task ahead of them. They do have to keep records on all that information. They have to make a specific declaration when the product goes into the United States, and they are subject to audit by U.S. Customs. So it's not a slam dunk that your product is going to get in duty-free and everything's going to be smooth. There has to be some work on the part of those exporters to ensure they can continue to access the U.S. market. For other exporters that are in those targeted industries we mentioned earlier, steel, aluminum, auto, of course, they, I expect, are probably in contact with the Canadian government. They're probably getting updates on these negotiations, and this is a critical juncture for them. Our steel and aluminum and automotive exporters, producers here, rely on the U.S. market in the more medium to long term. Obviously, they are looking at diversifying their markets. Canada has trade agreements in place with the EU, the Trans-Pacific Partnership with Asian and Pacific countries. The UK, we have a trade agreement. So there is that opportunity to diversify, and certainly the provinces are trying to do their part in reducing provincial barriers. But in the short term, short to medium term, really we're looking to these trade negotiations to provide some sort of relief or resolution to the issue on the sectoral tariffs.
I also just wanted to come back to retaliation. It continues to come up. Obviously, the Prime Minister campaigned on it, but even in Bloomberg's reporting over the last day or so, they talked about the political dilemma of retaliatory tariffs, just because in their reporting, the idea that when Canada takes that approach, arguably it just emboldens the Trump administration to hit harder. And yet, obviously, a lot of Canadians feel unsatisfied with the situation we're in right now. What's the balancing act there?
Yeah, it definitely is a balancing act. On the one hand, you have the political elbows up posturing. And it's important, I think, for Canada to be seen to be standing up to the United States, to be seen to be aggressively responding to these tariffs. The U.S. market, notwithstanding what Trump says, the U.S. market needs Canadian product, at least in the short to medium term. And so I think it's important for the Canadians to be seen to be at least doing that in some respect. On the other hand, we've seen how Trump reacts to retaliation. And keep in mind, the U.S. increased their tariffs on steel and aluminum products from 25% to 50% in June. Canada did not retaliate against that. So the retaliation that's upsetting Trump right now is really the Trudeau administration retaliation. And I expect going forward, the Carney government is going to balance all of these issues. And also keep in mind, when we retaliate, we're imposing tariffs on Canadian importers of product from the United States. So it's a tax on Canadian consumers and importers as well.